Okay, question 11, factorising quadratics and solving equations. So first thing we notice with A is that A equals 1 equals 1. Now, we need to think really carefully about what we're talking about here. The coefficient of x squared is A. B is the coefficient of x, and that's the sum value. And A times C is the product value. So that's going to be the same for all these questions. But in the first question, we notice that A is 1. So that middle number 11 is B, and the end number C is 30. And we times that by 1, we get 30. So the two numbers that add up to make 11 and multiply to make 30 are 5 and 6, and we just stick those in our brackets. And that's how you factorise. So for the second part, you have to recognise you've got the same quadratic in the first part with equals to 0. Now the important thing about this is if you have two numbers multiplied together and they equal 0, either the first number is equal to 0 or the second number is equal to 0. This is the same as saying either x equals minus 5 or x equals minus 6. For C, we have a slightly more difficult quadratic because A isn't equal to 1. So we have to multiply A and C together first. So our middle value, B, is 1. The sum number is 1. And AC, the product number, is minus 42. Now the two numbers that do that are going to be negative 6 and positive 7. There are various ways of doing this. Often splitting the middle term, the middle x term, is a popular one. If you do it that way, it's useful to put the negative term first, so minus 6x and positive 7x, and then factorising the first two terms and the last two terms. So that's a valid method you could have used. And the final step gives us our two factors. But if you're in my class, I know you might be using this method where we put 3x all over 3 and minus 6 and plus 7 go inside. And you can see that there is a factor of 3 in this bracket. So if we take the factor of 3 out and cancel it with the denominator, we are left with x minus 2 in that first factor. Finally, solving that exact same quadratic set to be equal to 0, well, either the first factor is 0 or the second factor is 0.
What's up, my dude? Oh.
And so our values of x can be found by solving these two final equations. And it doesn't really matter if you have your second value as a recurring decimal.